Nutmeg Sports.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. It is Wednesday. That means Dave Stewart stands over where Donald Eng would normally be. I'm Rob Adams. Happy to have you along as we move through this Wednesday edition. Wrestling coming up a little bit later on today from Fairfield Ward High School, Danbury and Fairfield Ward. We also have Steve Tovich, the head girls basketball coach at Trumbull High School. We will have an interview with the Fairfield Ward wrestling team as well. And highlights from last night's Ridgefield Wilton basketball game. But first, Dave, how are things?
Things are going pretty good. We had some good games, really good games last night. And of course, the game we were doing, Wilton, Ridgefield, and Wilton just looked completely awesome last night. I mean, really, they didn't miss a mark.
What a job by the Wilton Warriors. You'll see it in the highlights when we get to that. And what a great atmosphere. Now, I don't know all the facts afterwards. I know there was a heavy police presence when we left the high school, so I'll kind of leave it at that because we don't know all the facts, but it did seem like there was some, frankly, stupidity after the game, and I hate to see the evening get marred like that because the atmosphere in the building was so great, and there were hints of there being some social media foolishness that had taken place, and so I just hate to see it I hate to see us have to go to a point where, you know, there has been, such as Darien New Canaan, have had to put games, for the most part, in the daytime hours. I don't want to see that. I want us to just be free, have fun. It's sports. Let it be a rivalry. Yell things at each other, but leave it at that.
Yeah, and you're right. It was a great atmosphere in the building. I mean, you got to give it to the fans. They really came out in force for both teams to support both teams in this game, and it's a huge rivalry. And you know, the stupidity happens obviously away from the action. It's never any. I don't want to say never, but it's most of the time it's not the athletes involved. They want to show what they can do on the court or whatever sport they're playing, and you know, it's unfortunate, but kind of, you know, they appeared they handled it okay at Wilton last night.
Yeah, the rivalry on the court was pretty well behaved for the most part. You know, nothing really got bad or out of control, so the athletes stayed, you know, pretty much under control. Like I said, we saw some police cars for sure after the game, and you know, I won't no more detail than that. Just I don't want to just have fun and let's leave it at that.
Yeah, and you know, I think the game itself was. I think that had a little bit to do with it maybe being less heated on the court because Wilton kind of took control early on, and then that was it. I mean, they really, with Jack Williams and, you know, just hitting everything. I think 11 points in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, and taking a big lead.
16 in the first half for Jack Williams, 19 overall.
Wow. And it just...
Oh, deadly
crazy,
from downtown.
Crazy. Hit 8 3-pointers in the first half alone, and they just really looked like they came to play last night. And, you know, if they play like that, they can beat most teams in the FCAC because really, when you look at it, there's nobody who's standing out above all the rest right now. There's some very good teams out there who can, you know, any one of which could win the championship, but nobody who's a runaway favorite at this point like West Hill was last year.
I would agree with that. You know, Danbury's certainly looking like they're at the top of the heap in boys basketball, and props to Greenwich for the job they did against Trumbull last night as well.
Yeah, you know, Danbury for a while looked like they were going to be the team that was going to stand out, and they still are right up there. They're 6-1 in the league. Then they lose to Trumbull. Trumbull now is undefeated in the league. Then they go out and lose to Greenwich. So everybody's got a league loss now. 2 teams have 1 loss. That's Trumbull and Danbury. And you've got, I'm looking here, you've got 6 teams that have 2 losses, either 5-2 or 4-2 right now, including Wilton and including Ridgefield. So, you know, it's just a wide open race right now.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and the playoffs, I would imagine, are going to be blistering.
Yes, I would think so too. And then, you know, we got, talking about teams that are right in there, West Hill's sitting there at 4-3 in the league. Yeah. So they're right out of it right now, but they're, you know, you don't want to count them out at all.
Now, full disclosure for our viewers, we are going to cover as much of the playoffs as we can. We're going to be kind of right up against, a conflict with the boys quadruple header in the playoffs and the quarterfinals. We'd love to cover that as well, but we'll actually be down at Terry Connor's rink that same day with ice hockey. But we will have the semifinals and finals in boys basketball as well as girls basketball, all the hockey. So it'll be a busy playoff season for us, and for sure we'll have the balance of the boys playoffs.
Yeah, that Saturday is a busy day because you've got the 4 basketball quarterfinals. You have 2 FCAC boys hockey playdowns.
As well as the girls' championship.
And then the girls' championship is that day. So, that's probably the busiest day on the FCAC.
Somebody would like to spoil that girls' hockey championship party, although you get the sense right now you know who the 2 participants will be, and that is a nifty little promo segue into what we're doing Friday with Darien and New Canaan down the road at the Darien Ice Rink.
Excellent job there, too. That
Thank
was
you.
Great. That was
Eric Gendron taught me that.
That was a fun game. Darien and New Canaan was a fun game the first time where we talked about it last week. Darien dominated the first 2 periods, had a 2-0 lead. It would have been worse if it hadn't been for New Canaan's freshman goalie Amanda Hill, who was, I believe, an FCAC Player of the Week last week.
I believe so.
And she, so she kept them in. It was 2-0, and then all of a sudden the tables turned. New Canaan outshoots them 14-2 in the 3rd period, ties it up. Catherine Granito scores for New Canaan to tie it up. Georgia Cassidy comes back, wins it for Darien, and those are 2 names we hear all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
so that's Friday, 6:40. They'll drop the puck. Figure we're on the air right around 6:30 Friday night. Cato and I on the call. I believe Frank Granito will be back with us, and yes, he will stay nice and neutral on Friday. So
I feel like this game is going to be just a continuation. It's almost like you're not starting at period 1. You're starting with period 4, 5, and 6 now. So, this is just a continuation of the first game, which left a lot of unfinished business, at least for New Canaan.
And you would figure they're going to meet at least Friday, if not a couple of more times. I mean, they could literally meet 4 times before the season's over.
They could. Right now, they're ranked number 1. They're using a PowerPoint system for the states. They are ranked 1, Darien 1, and New Canaan 2. And New Canaan got a big win last week, beating defending co-champs from last year, East Catholic, 4-2 last week,
right
up there in Newington. And so, New Canaan's got the 1 loss. Darien had 1 loss to Greenwich Academy, which, of course, is not involved in the state tournament. So it's going to be interesting.
I didn't mean to have us get on this rant about girls ice hockey. I meant to actually stick with basketball. But while we're on it, it does call to mind something I picked up from Monday night when we were over at the rinks at Shelton, they do a wonderful job, make us feel super welcome. But, and I don't know who to blame here, Dave, but with girls hockey not being a sanctioned CIAC sport, that PowerPoint system you're talking about, they make it very clear at the top of the page. It is unofficial. These are unofficial standings because they don't have the percentage of participation that they need for it to be an official CIAC sport. Here's my problem with it, though. The girls hit the ice for an 8:30 game. They hit the ice at about 8:28. They have 2 minutes to warm up. A boys game normally, a sanctioned CIAC game gets 8 minutes, mandatory 8-minute warm up. You get ice made most of the time between periods in a boys ice hockey game. I don't know who I'm blaming. I'm not trying to knock the rinks at Shelton. I'm not trying to knock the CIAC, but I am saying let's be a little more judicious in the way we do this.
That has to do with the organization altogether. A CIAC sanctioned sport, you have to have a certain number of schools participating, obviously, that I've been at games where they haven't done the ice between either period.
Right, and that was Monday night.
And usually most of the games, most of the big games anyway, they will do the ice between the 2nd and 3rd periods, which they did in between the 2nd and 3rd of the New Canaan Darien game the first time.
Right.
My take on that is I don't mind if they don't want to do the ice between periods, but in that case, that actually helped New Canaan. They get a little bit of a breather.
That's fair.
They step back, and you had to feel that little break in between the periods helped them out, and they came out and they were on fire in that 3rd period. And you wonder if they don't do the ice and it just you get a 2 or 3 minute break, and then you're just standing there on the ice, and you go right back out. It's just more of the same, So, I think that's deserved, and I would hope in the playoffs they would do the ice between each period, and have that done. But I agree, you're right. This is a matter of just getting everything a little bit better organized, and a little bit more in terms of hard and fast rules written down about
Yeah.
how this is going to be handled.
Yeah.
I mean, in a couple of cases, I've been at games where they were going to do the ice, and then the coaches agreed, maybe the game was out of hand, and just say, let's just go right into the third period and go. But and if that's the
And
case,
I
that's the
understand
case.
if that's the case. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes that does happen. And no, not every boys' game has a Zamboni run through, but I think, you know, sometimes the girls feel like they're getting the lesser end of things to begin with. And they had a good crowd there the other night for that. There was one dad that I'll say frankly now on the record on this show. I wasn't going to say it the other night during the broadcast, but there was a Notre Dame of Fairfield parent that I actually would have considered having ejected from the building. I
Wow.
thought his behavior toward the official was that unprofessional and inappropriate, to be quite honest with you. And the official gave him a glance and a good stare. So the officials run the game, obviously not us, but I thought about calling him out on the air. I thought his behavior was just not necessary.
You see, it's unfortunate sometimes that people get involved to that extent and can't just, you know, watch the game
Yeah.
and enjoy it for what it is. But, you know, the girls, I've seen, you know, a lot of the girls' games, you got to hand it to them. I've seen some great New Canaan Ridgefield games over the years. Darien with Ridgefield, Darien with New Canaan, of course, is great. East Catholic has a great program
Yes,
up
they
there.
do.
You know, and you've had teams like Glastonbury who've been very good over
Oh,
the years.
outstanding.
Guilford has had a good program. So you have a lot of good programs. Greenwich at one point, they're a little bit down the
They're
last
down
few
right
years,
now,
but
yeah.
they were one of the forerunners of what has grown. I think it was Greenwich and New Canaan were the first high school programs in Connecticut,
They were.
and they really got it going. And they had quite a rivalry for a while until Darien kind of moved beyond both of them the last few years, and now it's kind of New Canaan Darien again.
Before we get to Steve Tobish and before we take a break, why don't we head back now to basketball, take a look at the highlights, give you an idea of what last night looked like at the Wilton Zeoli Fieldhouse. You get a sense it was a crazy night there. Let's check out the highlights. In front of a raucous crowd inside the Nicholas Zeoli Fieldhouse, this is high school basketball on the HAN Network. Good evening, everyone. With John Kovach, I'm Rob Adams. So we're tied at 3 with a Let's Go Ridgefield chant and a deep 3. Oh, that's good! How about Cronenberg, 6'3" Wilton.
That might have been an NBA 3.
Little bounce pass back to McNamara, stripped away, and they'll go the other way. Jack Williams driving left side at the elbow, turns around, takes a look, over to Connolly. Work it all the way around, deep 3. Williams, bang!
There's no doubt about those. As soon as they leave his fingertips, you know they're good.
Near side Connolly. Connolly back up top Williams. Williams can get hot. He's had 3 from downtown, but he bounces it out for Wood. Wood off to Connolly, near side, deep 3. Cronenberg, good.
Cronenberg feeling it tonight as well. Great shot off that pass. No dribble, just run to the spot, and pull up and shoot. Nick Cronenberg hit an insane 3 in the freshman game earlier.
And he's hauling it up here, and it's good! Oh, they're loving it here. 34-16 and a timeout. So Wilton ball. He's a freshman. There's the chant. Sounds good to me. Matt Cronenberg up top. Went right side. Played catch with the other Cronenberg. Taking a look. They bring it back up top. Wood to Cronenberg. Here's Matthew Cronenberg. Oh, it runs in the family. A 21-point lead. 4. Looks like they will try to dribble it out with 1, and this one is over. And the Wilton Warriors feel pretty good about themselves. They would like to rush the floor, but not quite sure they're going to be entirely allowed to. Well, now they will, because there's more of them and less of the people in charge. And there you go. They really wanted to rush the floor something badly. They didn't quite rush it completely. The adults kept things under control so they could shake hands, but what a job by the Warriors last night. And credit to them. Tigers they just couldn't hit shots.
No, they couldn't. And, Wilton was just on fire, and they had they just caught that energy from the crowd last night and really, really picked up on it. And once they started hitting, you could see the confidence picking up, and, I think it was more, Williams and Cronenberg, just
and then the younger Cronenberg as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it really was a team effort, but those threes, that's got to be so frustrating if you're Ridgefield, you're out there. You saw them starting to rush things a little bit, and you start to see things getting out of control.
No, great job by the Warriors. Certainly the Tigers brought a great crowd as well. So we will take a timeout here on Nutmeg Sports. We will come back and then we will speak with the head girls basketball coach at Trumbull High School. But first a break, and we're back right after this on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network with Dave Stewart. I'm Rob Adams. Happy you decided to join us for a Wednesday edition. Again, wrestling coming up later today, 5 o'clock, as we have Danbury visiting Fairfield Ward High School. But let's spin things over to the phone, Dave, and bring in a friend to the program.
We have the Trumbull girls basketball coach here, Steve Tobich, and they had a huge win last night, beating Greenwich 70-64, and improving to, I believe it's 10-2 overall, or 11-2 overall now, and 8-1 in the FCX. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me on.
Tell me about the game last night. Obviously going up against Greenwich, and especially Abby Wolf, one of the best players in the state. Just tell us a little bit about that game, how your girls handled it.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I'm sure a lot of people saw the box score, but in the first half we kind of got hot a little bit and jumped out, and it was like the tale of two halves. And then Greenwich kind of got really hot, and they really put the screws in the second half. But I was really proud of our girls and how we hung tough. Greenwich was coming on hard and fast, and we kind of told our girls at halftime, this is a really good team, a high-quality basketball team, and a team that's going to be around late in the season, and they're not going to go away. And I was really proud of how we really buckled down late in the fourth quarter when things weren't looking so good, and they made a couple of deep runs on us. And we were able to pull out a great home victory to move us up in the standings and really put us in a good spot heading into the final, 2-3 weeks of the FCX season.
Now that's happened a couple of times to you guys where you've gotten up on, I think it was against Ridgefield too, you got way up and then they came back, but your girls were able to pull it out in the end. If I'm not mistaken, that happened in Ridgefield too.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Same thing. I just think that, we come into the game, I think our girls are ready to go, and we just get hard sometimes to keep that level of intensity up for a full 32 minutes, but, obviously that's what the good teams have to do, and the fact that we were able to pull those two quality FCX wins out kind of put us in the position we're in right now, kind of tied for the 2 seed, in the FCX girls standings.
Steve, so much of the talk before the season was Ridgefield and Greenwich for sure and Ward, but, there wasn't a whole lot of talk, at least it seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Trumbull. Did you feel that way? Did you feel like your team kind of was off the radar, and do you like that?
It was kind of interesting because we weren't talked about a lot, and, we kind of talk about it in our own locker room, and we have this little chart on the wall that we kind of keep track of where we were in the beginning of the year and the teams that were predicted to be in the top of the league and, where we were kind of picked in a lot of the preseason rankings. And, slowly but surely we've been climbing that ladder. And I think it's kind of helped keep the girls focused. And there's been a lot of years where we have been picked early on to be one of the top. And it's kind of a little different feel to start the year. And I wasn't sure, how this group was going to react or how prepared they were going to be each and every day in practice and preparing for games. And it's been a really fun year. It's been a very cohesive group, and they seem to be up to the challenge. And we just stressed last night, even after the game was over, that there's a lot of improvement still needed, obviously. And hopefully we keep building towards something bigger. And that something bigger being, we have a very quality FCAC tournament coming up in late February, and we'd like to be around playing late into March, like a lot of the girls' FCAC teams, I'm sure, are hoping to do, looking towards the last month and a half of the season here.
Some of the names that have stood out from what I've seen with Claudia Tucci and Alyssa Brunig and Taylor Brown. Just tell us a little bit about the makeup of your team. Who are your captains? How are they leading the team?
Yeah, I think this is what we really try to pride ourselves on, trying to be a program that, even though we graduated a terrific class last year, terrific group of seniors, we started 4 seniors in the starting lineup. Alyssa's the only returning senior. She's also one of our tri-captains who will be attending St. Mike's in the fall. But we also have a lot of quality players within our program that play on our freshman or JV levels, and they're gaining experience, and they're building from within. And so we have a lot of girls who've kind of waited their turn. And Taylor and Claudia Tucci, who are now 2 junior starters, were our 6th and 7th girls last year off the bench, and they just kind of filled into that role, and they had to step into some bigger shoes, but it wasn't a major jump for them, and I think they were more excited than nervous in any way about stepping into those shoes to fill. Alongside Alyssa, we have Nina Vetter, who's one of our senior captains, who's had an unbelievable senior year. She's really one of our strongest defensive players, and if not one of our smartest basketball players that we have on our roster. And rounding out our lineup, we have Victoria Ray, another junior guard. She's a point guard, and she's really done a terrific job running the show. And we get the ball up the court really quick in transition. A lot of that was on display last night against Greenwich. We were able to really push the ball in transition even after they scored on us and kind of push the tempo a little bit. But a lot of that has to do with her and her ability to get the ball up the court either with a pass or a dribble rather quickly.
Yeah.
How tough? We saw you, of course, what seems like a couple of weeks ago now, Coach, against St. Joseph. How tough was that game? I mean, rivalry game, big crowd. What did that mean to your team?
Yeah, obviously you kind of throw the records out the window anytime you have a crosstown rivalry in any sport. But that atmosphere is different because a lot of girls' games, we don't draw necessarily the same type of crowd or atmosphere like a lot of the high school boys' games do. And obviously at Fairfield University, the crowd was already filling in during the girls' game. So I think both girls on both teams, on both sides, were really excited about being able to put on their best effort and display all the hard work that they put in each and every day in practice. Obviously, both teams played as hard as they can. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game at times, but I think a lot of that had to do with some of our nerves in that situation. But I do think that situation helped build us into bigger moments that we've had here in the second half of the season. Playing at Ward, although we didn't come away with a win, that was also a big moment for us to be in. Playing home last night against a high-quality team like Greenwich, I think that helped us, and being in that environment against St. Joe's helped us come prepared and also be focused for that situation when it arose.
I'm looking at what you've got coming up, and Friday you're at West Hill, and the next week home against Norwalk and Wilton, and all 3 of those teams are they're around 500. They're a little bit over 500, and they're right in the edge of the playoff race right now. The FCAC this year, it doesn't seem like there's any real any time to relax.
No, there's that. You nailed nailed it on the head. Going down to West Hill, we're definitely going to have to make sure that we regroup here and focus on the next team. And next week is a tough week for a lot of the FCIAC teams. It's a 3-game week. We just happen to be fortunate that our bye falls on the Wednesday this year, but most teams are playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But again, Norwalk is going to be in that FCIAC mix along with West Hill and Wilton. And if we want to stay where we are, we're going to have to make sure that we're ready to play.
Well, we look forward to a fun playoff run, Coach, and we want to see you guys there, and really appreciate your time coming on today, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye. Thank you.
Steve Tobish, the head basketball coach for the girls over at Trumbull High School. New Canaan guy as well, a 99 graduate. So we take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. Dave and I come back, put a wrap on it right after this on the HAN Network.
Denali is your outdoor retail destination in the Westfield Trumbull Mall. For the last 21 years, we have carefully selected clothing, footwear, and gear from a variety of the best outdoor brands, such as the North Face, Patagonia, Vineyard Vines, UGG, Merrell, GoPro, New Balance, and many more. Our stores have a friendly, knowledgeable staff to help you with all of your running, hiking, and cold weather needs, and in discovering all things outdoorsy and awesome. Visit us in the Westfield Trumbull Mall or online at DenaliOutdoor.com.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
It's the new year. The to-do list is long and it's easy to feel pulled in many directions at once. Your professional personal shoppers at Walter Stewart's are ready to check groceries off your list by shopping for you. Save extra time this year and spend it doing more important things. Great food and wine delivered to your home with the same-day service. Shop Stewart's online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports as we count down this Wednesday edition here on the HAN Network. We have wrestling coming up later on, 5 o'clock, Fairfield Ward High School, as Fairfield Ward, the Mustangs, host the Danbury Hatters. And, of course, we did the FCIAC tour right at the start of the winter season. Had a chance to interview virtually everyone around the conference, almost. One of the teams we spoke with would happen to be the wrestling team at Fairfield Ward High School. Let's take a look back. And we're joined by the wrestling team at Fairfield Ward High School. Bill Bloxham down at the other end. I'm Rob Adams. Bill, you're a big wrestling guy as well, so this is right up your alley.
Oh, I am very, very excited to see these guys again. Been fortunate enough to cover or watch two of them wrestle now. Will be going into their fourth year and one for 3 years. And a couple years ago they knocked Danbury out of the way. Last year they were ranked number 1 in the state for a while, or at least for a little bit. And this is one of the ballyhooed programs that's really worked their way up, where now more than one team is known about than Danbury in the FCIAC now, and these guys had a lot to do with it.
Well, let's meet them. We'll start right here. They can introduce themselves. Who are you?
I'm Tim Kane. I'm a junior. I'm Charlie Kane, a senior.
And I'm Jack Price, a senior.
Tim, Bill kind of set it all up. Expectations are high for you and your team, aren't they?
Yeah, I expect very good things from our team this year.
Charlie, specifically, you wrestle at 145. What do you expect this season as well?
I expect good things. I think we'll be able to take it and battle with the hardest teams and hopefully make it to New England as a team again.
Is it hard not to feel sorry for the other? I can't do this. I'm doing this like a fan. I just like you guys, and you're so good, but you wrestle back to back to back. Is that even fair, Jack? You're the middle guy.
Yeah. I mean, you try not to think about the other team, but I'm just wrestling from guys on my team and hoping to do our best.
camaraderie on wrestling. I mean, it is the best thing ever. It is the thing what I like most about this sport, except for two of the guys that are here. Almost everyone's seen the ceiling once or twice in their careers. I don't even know if you have. But I think that's part of the sport. I think that's what brings everybody together from freshman to senior, is that success is really hard earned in the wrestling room. Is that true? I'll ask Charlie that first.
Yeah, you need to be able to learn from your failures and better and push yourself past them in order to succeed.
And Jack, same?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone takes their losses at the beginning of their career, but with the hard work that we put in every day, by the end you're winning.
Tim, you plan to wrestle in college, as does Charlie. What got you guys so into this sport?
We started when we were younger, and we just fell in love with the sport since we were little.
Charlie, same?
Yeah, our dad he wrestled in high school, and he got us into it when we were younger.
And once again, Jack, when you first started out joining a program that was on the up and coming, now that you guys are in the upper echelon of that, how do you work with the younger guys?
I love seeing the younger guys. I was a member of the PAL program here in Fairfield, and I know what it's like to be a younger kid on the team looking up to the older guys, and it's exciting to work with the younger guys.
Good stuff, you guys. Have a great season, and all the best wishes to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish them all a lot of luck. The wrestling team here at Fairfield Ward High School, very excited to see how the season goes for them on the HAN network. In the dark of night there at Fairfield Ward High School, and we'll be there in just a couple of hours. But Dave, that'll do it for a good show. Thanks to Steve Tobish. We had the interview here, the highlights from last night, the girls hockey stuff. Busy show.
It's good stuff, and it's really starting to heat up too. You're getting halfway through the girls' season, and the boys are moving along. Their playoff races are starting to take shape, and it's going to be a fun second half of the season.
And I was thinking about this today. We're not all that far away from the spring schedules coming out.
No, not at all, not at all. And it's going to be. I'm curious to see with the baseball teams, with going from 19 schools to 17 schools, what they do with those having four open dates rather than 2 now.
I think it'll open up for some fun matchups, including hopefully what's become one of my favorites is that trip up to Dodd Stadium that Darien makes.
Yeah, that's always a good game.
Got my fingers crossed somebody's going to Cooperstown again. Fingers crossed. But anyway, that'll do it for Nutmeg Sports. We are back with you next Monday. But of course, we have wrestling coming up at 5 o'clock today, Fairfield Ward and Danbury, and the big girls hockey game on Friday night as Darien takes on New Canaan. Thanks to AJ Simonowski for getting things started, Eric Jensen for finishing things up, and for Dave Stewart, I'm Rob Adams. We'll see you for wrestling in just a couple of hours. Thanks for watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. So long, everyone.